Okay, let's talk about some of the stuff I was doing on the extended part here. Something that's really important to me is bringing down the dynamics a lot. And there's a few things that I like to do. One, if you looked one closely, I was riding my volume knob a lot. I think a lot of people don't pay enough attention to the volume knob, but to me, all the good players do. When you see someone like Jeff Beck, who's probably my favorite player, he's always riding the volume knob or changing pickups or changing his tone knob. And when I first started noticing that, it was such a huge eye-opener to me. I don't use a channel switcher amp. I always use my volume knob. I think it's more effective. So for the first one, I bring it down for the rhythm. I bring down my volume, let's say, I don't know, on a Strat. I bring it down a few notches, maybe about 5 or 6, or 6 probably here. And I use my fingers and get this really cool sort of snappy sound on the open strings. Now I'm really smacking the strings. I'm really pulling them up so they make a smacking sound. They're actually hitting against the frets pretty hard. And my thumb, I'm actually snapping the strings. And I'm going to palm mute it a little bit so it doesn't sound like... Big difference between that and... And that's a big old blues guy thing too, like Robert Johnson or Blind Willie Johnson. You hear those people play; they're really playing pretty hard. And that's where I kind of came up with that feel. Well, I didn't come up with it, but that's where I learned it from. Now, at one point in the 4 chord, I treat it as an A sus4 chord. So I'm using that same shape we used before, thinking it's A major triad. I've got my thumb over the top as we did, so that real Hendrixy voicing. And I'm going to hammer on with my 3rd finger to get my sus4, and I'm going to hammer that on the 3rd string to the 7th fret. That works because all those notes are actually all in the same key. A sus4 is very close to the E major. Resolves nicely, adds a little bit of tension, but not dissonant tension. Just kind of a nice little interesting thing to hear. Okay, and as I talked about before, when the line between rhythm and soloing, I use that same 6th idea as I did in my solo before for my rhythm for my 1 chord for E. So maybe for my 4. Now 5. Now, one thing I was doing here, you see Stevie Ray Vaughan do this kind of stuff a lot, and Hendrix, is I've got a big rhythm thing going here with my right hand, and I'm doing a lot of muting with my left hand. I've got my thumb over the top for the low string. My 3rd finger gets the B note as well, so I've got this octave, and I'm playing between the flat 7, which would be A, to the B. To sum things up, as I'd mentioned before about the difference between lead and rhythm playing, I don't see a huge difference between them. So kind of keep that in mind, like sometimes little fills sound really nice mixed in with chords, and I think most good players, as I said before, will do that. One tip that I think I can give you that really helps me a lot, especially I find playing a Stratocaster, is don't play really softly on the guitar. Sometimes really use your volume knob for certain things. I'm saying, of course, dynamically you want to play softer, but you're talking about these big rhythm things. Really smacking the guitar really gives it the sound that we think of when you think of a Stratocaster. Say like Stevie Ray Vaughan, the difference between going, and to me is a big difference. When I'm doing that sort of open string stuff with the muting, same thing. I'm picking really hard, though I've rolled my volume off. Pick softly. The very big difference. So think about dynamics when you're playing, and don't be afraid to really smack the guitar.